so if you remember hearing what our problems were as a chapter, but basically what it comes down to is the collections were horrible. There was no authority to enforce any sanctions that were put out, if there was any sanctions by a J board. So basically lack of authority and no respect for the house itself, and damages completely happening and stuff like that. So basically what we came down to is we wrote down a whole bunch of options and we put some goals together along with those. And then moving forward, basically it comes down to reviewing the bylaws and implementing new financial policies into the bylaws. And from there, once they're in place, publicize them to the chapter so the chapter is aware of all these bylaws and everything that we have in place. Have a couple forms of publicizing them, one online, one a hard copy, and then from there, have an acknowledgement from each brother that they reviewed the bylaws and they agree to them. So an annual membership contract, you can do that with your new members or annually by every brother. And then from there, we establish a functioning J board with a sergeant at arms who has balls to actually implement some of this stuff, along with other executive members. And then basically from what we kind of dove into it doesn't specifically say, but we realized the exec board probably doesn't meet once a week, maybe not at all. So weekly exec meetings is key, along with other cabinets like finance committee and internal, external cabinets and stuff like that. So basically the way that will work out is you have a set of standards and then you uphold these standards by enforcing them. Then from there, everything will trickle down to pretty much solve the majority of the problems. So,
did the process kind of feel to you guys? Yeah, did it flow all right?
yeah.
Okay. How much time did you spend on the different sections?
It was pretty even.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, realities was pretty quick because that's
It's laid out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Let's go to my group. It's the same topic.
Jump up here real quick. Basically, like, same topic, so some definitely similar things that you kind of go through. One of the ones that really kind of stuck out to our whole group was really identifying your expectations. When you're coming in, especially for us, and you got a bunch of members not paying dues, it's a culture issue. And so what you have to do is right from the beginning, it starts in the pledge process, they have to know what we expect financially. And one of the best ways to do that, the other group also echoed, was contracts. It's fantastic, it's written. The way we do it at USC is we actually have your contracts in a membership contract. If you're not up on your dues, they can actually hold your transcript. So it's one of those things that you know each year you're entering into it. It's a contract, you third party it basically. So you don't have to come down on your bros for not paying dues because they're contractually obligated. You have alumni who can help you out with that. And it's something to really kind of tie them in. Another members from other houses also talk about bylaws. I think they mentioned that as well. It's a great one too. So if you had, some had a 30, 60, 90 kind of tiered structure, you know, after 30 days, this happened, 60 days, this happened, 90 days, this happened, and it was a zero tolerance policy. Things like that, when expectations, especially when it comes to dues, are from the beginning and they know right away, that's how it just gets taken care of right away. And then we also had, for same thing, members doing things that they should, stupid stuff, breaking doors, getting in trouble, getting arrested, all those things. It's hard when you come down on your bros, especially if you have big guys in the house and then they're breaking doors, and then the little sergeant at arms is supposed to come down. No one's going to listen to them. No one cares. So what we did is we actually have a standards board. The standard board consists of scholarship chair. We have someone who runs the standard board, which is a member at large. And then we also have house manager and the risk manager. So those four assets are all things that you can be brought to standards for. So not just getting in trouble if you don't have good grades, you can go to standards. Not just that an issue, if you have some disciplinary problems, you can go to standards. So it makes the standards process more objective. That way, the guy can't fire back to the guy yelling at him and say, hey, I might have gotten caught with an MIP last night, but I know you're only 20 and you were drinking last night. Now we can say, I got 4 other guys on the board. Some are scholarship, some are this, and it adds some different perspectives. It gives you guys a little bit more teeth when you're dealing with your members, and it doesn't make that one-on-one issue that you got to chase after the guy that you don't want to. So taking and making sure that your standards is objective, and that it's not that thing that someone can fire back with something back with, that's what you want to stay away from, because everyone drinks. Everyone does some stupid stuff, but you have to understand that if you can make it a situation they're going to walk into and they're like, look, I got 4 different guys who do 4 different things in the house, and the scholarship guy's telling me that my MIP is not acceptable, that resonates with me. It just has to. Believe that, and also work with alumni. Some things are really difficult, and third partying is great. When you have, say you have like an SMC, which was a great example, who is the guy who goes and breaks all the doors open. or you have the executive vice president and the treasurer, it might not be the best option to have some of the bros in the house. You might be able to have the treasurer break down the financial issues, or have someone break down to an alumni, your alumni advisor, what it is. Have them jump in and talk to you. That's what they're there for. They're advisors. It creates that, and then you can come back in and be like, hey, I know you talked to the alumni. I know that he really did this. Now I'm here as your helper. I'm your ally. I'm your pledge rep. I know you personally. I know you're not a bad guy, but you done some dumb shit. Now we got to figure it out. So you can be more of an ally instead of the guy coming down on him, and that's just the way the organization's structured.
Perfect, thank you. By the way, accountability is 100% a expectations issue. They reflected it by saying update the bylaws. This group reflected it by saying we were going to have membership contracts. What those things do, they're basically outlining expectations. If you get the chapter to agree to a common set of expectations, how you enforce it becomes a much easier conversation. All right, Ray, your group, who's speaking for it? Yep.
So we had the risk management. We got busted for having a party in our house. So a little bit background, our chapter size is 45, there's 3 fraternities on campus. And so some of the goals that we set for ourselves are to have an educational session on risk management and our current policy, have sober brothers and house monitors, and then strengthening our relationships with the Greek Life office. When we went and discussed some of our realities, we came up with that we had social media practices that may be getting us in trouble, which led to the university finding out about the events that are happening at our house, that we had bad PR and that we were on a small Greek Life campus, and that was causing some weak relations with the university, and that we were on the verge of suspension if we didn't get our act together. So that led us to a few different options. We could improve our act, or we could get kicked off campus. It's pretty simple. And so we decided that there would be some type of culture change that would help prevent us from being kicked off campus, and ultimately continue to dominate our campus presence. So when we moved on to how to move forward, we, as far as university relations, we kind of discussed inviting university officials like the Dean of Students or the Greek Life office out to some of our philanthropic events and just other campus events that we host. And then with Sober Brothers, making rotation teams, and our discussion kind of went out into, we wanted to incentivize those who are sober drivers and mentors instead of making it a punishment. So we talked a lot about different ways to do that.
Risk is an interesting one because you get trapped in the realities. It's pretty clear cut. I mean, it's risky and we're going to get in trouble. So it's interesting because your options were a little bit smaller than you would normally want with a situation like that. I think risk, though, is probably the one area where it's pretty black and white once you're able to lay out to the chapter the horror stories and the situation that they're in. So, great job. Okay, Matt's team.
My name's Kyle from the Epsilon Plato. We had recruitment, so our goals were to implement Rush 365 24/7. It's a never-ending job. You want to do it all the time. It's not just that 3-week rush period during the first bit of the semester. You just keep going. It's the main thing, you know. You're at the gym, you see someone, you know, you talk to them, become friends with them. Same thing, you work with someone on campus, you know, become friends with them, bring them in a little bit. First step, recruitment, become friends. You know, we want to win recruitment, and we want to have the most best men. We don't want to just go out and just go for numbers because we're low. We don't want to just grab any guy we can. We don't want to grab at the bottom of the bowl. We want to make sure that the men we do recruit are the best. Because that's who we are. We're Pikes. We want to be the best. And then we want to double our new member program. We're bringing in probably about an average of maybe 7 guys probably in this. So they want to double. They want to make sure that they can get more guys to improve. Because once it starts, they can keep moving forward in that. For reality, there's only 40 men in the chapter, you know, so not too many. Negative perception. They don't have good PR at all, so they need to build up that a little bit to get more people more interested in them. With manpower, you know, there's only 40 men. It's hard to get out there when other chapters are reaching lengths of like 100 men chapters. So, you know, you don't have as much PR going around like trying to recruit more guys. And they are 7th in recruitment, So that means there's 6 other fraternities ahead of you doing something better. So you got to see what are they doing and why is it working for them, and you can also implement that in your own rush. For obstacles, lack of participation. A lot of times it's that you're only going to have 20 men out of the 40 maybe to actually do an recruitment. You want to get, it's a whole chapter job. You can't just have 7 guys or 8 guys out of a chapter of like even 60 or 70 trying to do the recruitment. It's not just the recruitment chair's job. It's the whole chapters. Budget issues. I know sometimes it's hard to put on a whole bunch of recruitment activities because not all the chapters can afford it. There's other ways of going around that, sponsors and stuff. But and then you have lack of knowledge. Some chapters might have trouble with knowing how to rush the right way. And then retention. You can sometimes recruit 30 guys, but then you only bring back 15. Something's not right there. And then selling the image. You got to make sure you sell the right image to bring the people to you. You don't want to sell the wrong image and bring the wrong people to you. And then the pledging process is a lot of times you'll have the new members see it as a finish line. They think they go through those 8 weeks or however long the recruitment process is, and they're like, okay, once I finish, I'm done. I don't got to do any more work, because they just see the older guys as they don't do the work, so it must be just a pledging thing where, and once you're done, you're done. So the way forward, you implement the 365 rush, do it every day. Retreats, you get the chapter to get more involved, you talk about it, and then attend more Pike U events, because if you don't have the knowledge on something, these things here teach you all the knowledge you need to know. There's also pikes.org. And then also, like budgets, we have people, if you can get the sponsors for like Monster, Red Bull, energy drinks always want to come on and help you out because it's free PR for them as well.
Okay. So if I could make an observation, you turned your opportunities into obstacles. What did that do to the conversation? Okay, I'll let you guys off the hook. When you take something like opportunities and you turn it into obstacles, you just turn the conversation from dreaming about the world of possibilities and being creative to shutting yourselves down into the negative things that you're having to overcome. It's actually a very important thing to discuss. I'd actually merge that with the reality conversation, part of the realities of the obstacles you're facing. But remember, when you're having this conversation with your chapter, you want them to be creative. You want them to come up with ideas that are either as good as what you guys have thought of or even better, because that's how you improve things. That's why you want to spend 60% of the time in this opportunity space as to what is it we can possibly do. Great job, everybody. You guys did really well on this. So we were going to spend some time at the end on overcoming obstacles. At the back of your book, we're out of time. At the back of your book, there's overcoming the no's, or what is it? What is it? No factors. Okay. I want you to read through those and notice on every single one of them, the person acknowledges, the response is to acknowledge the concern, and then it's followed by but, or however, or instead of. You're basically, when you say, hey, I hear what you're saying, but, that basically means, I hear what you're saying, but I totally, completely disagree with you, and I think you're a freaking idiot. This whole thing, this whole process is about asking questions. If somebody's objecting to something, find out why. And when they answer you, the first answer is going to be a fake out. Ask them why again. You actually have to ask why 3 to 4 times from somebody to get the real reason behind their objection to come out. So instead of saying, hey, I hear what you're saying, but you're completely wrong, and here's why, and here's how we should be looking at it, it's, wow, that's a really interesting observation. Why do you believe that? Or you could, if you know it's something that everybody else in the room is going to totally disagree with, say, wow, that's an interesting perspective. Are there any different opinions here or different perspectives here? And your brothers will immediately pounce on it. And you didn't have to give up any of your power as an executive officer by pouncing on it or disagreeing with them. You're letting your brothers do it for you. Make sense? All right, so when you guys go into your regional breakouts this afternoon, since you've been through this session twice, you've got a fair understanding how this model works. They're going to break up on topics in the regional sessions on things that are far more specific to what you guys are dealing with. And we're going to ask you guys to actually lead through the conversation. You guys comfortable with that? Basically what we're doing here is putting you in a position so when you go back to the chapter, you're a little bit more comfortable with leading the conversation. You got a better chance of getting some buy-in and making these things real as opposed to coming back and telling them, hey, we're going to go storm the hill. And they're like, what hill? All right, good job, guys. Great session.